I want to really quickly talk about effects, mainly because this is a great signal flow exercise and demonstrates a very key concept in not only synthesis, but also sound design and just sort of working in your DAW, which is this left to right signal flow idea. And it's something that we can visually set up for ourselves inside of the Reaktor blocks framework that I think you can then extend and take into your everyday projects. So I've brought in a distortion unit. We have our instrument hooked up like we expect it to be working. The note is coming in. That's controlling the pitch. We have an ADSR envelope on a VCA. And then we have a filter. Now in this case, the filter is coming after the distortion. So we're going note in, oscillator, distortion, filter, meaning that as I bring down the cutoff, we are filtering distortion. As compared to what would happen if I took the distortion and I put it after the filter. Okay, now we are not going to be filtering distortion. So I bring this over to the other side. Filter comes here. We take the output, bring that into the distortion, and then take the output here, bring that into the VCA. It's going to be much louder. Flip them around. And just much more aggressive. You can hear how with just turning some of these things, it makes a big difference. So you can hear how modulating the filter in this instance would make a huge difference as compared to when it was the other way around. The timbre is totally different, and that all has to do with signal flow. Another thing to be very cautious of is when you have stereo effects and understanding where to put those in the signal flow. So if you see our VCA, it only takes a single input. It doesn't give us like a stereo input, so to speak. So if I wanted to put my reverb before the VCA, it's going to sound a little bit strange, because what I have to do is I have to take the output of the wavetable, which can go into both of these inputs, but then my output, I only have the one option here. And I can try to like add signal together using a different additional like blocks. Like I could use the add module, but that's not going to suddenly turn this into a stereo signal. And so when we listen to this, you can hear kind of the issue with that. But if we look at our level, this is coming out in stereo, meaning that I should be able to, if I take the reverb and put it after the VCA, I should be able to get a stereo reverb effect. So let's try and hook that up now. Instead, take this output, bring it in here. Get rid of these connections. Take this output from the VCA, run that into the two inputs on the reverb, and then take this out. And there's a lot of tricks and things that you can do here with your modules and with some utilities and stuff that's in the user library that may make this a little bit easier and may contradict a couple of the things I'm saying. But the general idea when you're working with these basic building blocks is you do need to be paying attention for when you have, you know, for example, if we had just a mono final output here, we wouldn't be able to do this. But now when we listen, and this also serves another purpose. When we had this reverb before the VCA was controlling how loud the reverb was going to be, right? And so it was cutting it off quite a bit. And now at least it's going to be able to sustain out. But if we wanted to cut it off, there's a number of ways we could do that. A very simple one would be to take an ADSR envelope, take the output of this, and we're going to still need a gate message, so we can take the gate all the way from back here in the note in, and then have this control the mix amount. Okay, so what if I take this mix level down to basically nothing, bring this up. Now when I hit a note, and now let's adjust some of these settings, let that release go maybe a little bit longer. Let's try doing something like this. Very different. And you could just play for hours and hours and hours, not only adjusting what you have patching wise here, but also with what you're doing with the settings that are inside of all these modules. That's really where you want to spend a big bulk of your time. So in the next video, we're going to wrap up working with these Reaktor blocks.